I said, what about me? Steve Harvey froze mid-laugh as he opened the envelope. His eyes scanned the handwritten note. And then he just stopped. Live audience, cameras rolling. But Steve was Nabrow TMTT speaking Rao. He was trembling. The message was from Clint Eastwood, and within seconds Steve Harvey was wiping away tears on national TV. This was now TMT a joke. It wasn't a tomato scripted bit. It was raw, real, and deeply personal. What could Clint have written that shook a man known for his humor and confidence to his core? And why now, after all these years? One sentence in that letter changed Steve. Forever, Oro. And when he finally read it out loud, the entire studio gasped. What do you think Clint Eastwood could say that would make Steve Harvey break down on live television? Steve finally found the strength to read the words aloud, or, his voice low, cracking just slightly. Oh, you once said something that saved my son Tim's life, and you didn't attempt to even know it. The studio was silent. The audience leaned in. Steve blinked, stunned. Our Clint Eastwood Tim's son, he whispered to himself, like even he couldn't believe it. The letter continued. Oh wow, in 2011, during an interview, you spoke about failure not being final. Oh wow, that a man TM's worst day could still lead to his best moment. My boy was in a dark place then. He watched that segment in silence, and it changed everything. Stevie TM's hand covered his mouth. This wasn't TMT just admiration. It was gratitude from a father, a legendary father. The camera zoomed in as Steve looked up, eyes glassy. Freshu Timev told a lot of jokes, around, he said softly. Oh, but I never thought they could save a life. But that was now Tinam to even the most powerful part. Because Clint had ended the letter with a line that no one expected. Farhu Tiumam. Are the reason I still believe the right words at the right time can change everything. Backstage, after the segment ended, Steve sat alone with the letter, holding it like it was made of glass. But just when the emotions seemed to settle, his phone buzzed. It was a video message, wow, from Scott Eastwood, Clint TM's son. The moment Steve hit play, Scott appeared on screen, eyes steady. Oh, you done about TM to know me, but I know you. That day, your words pulled me out of something dark. I wanted to say thank you face to face, but I am still working on becoming the man my father believes I can be. Your words started that journey. Steve watched in silence, jaw clenched, emotion pouring through him. But then Scott said something that made Steve sit up. Well, my dad does not attempt to open up to people, especially not like this. But when he saw that interview again last month, he told me, oh, that man, oh. Steve Harvey, oh. He speaks like a father. Should not brought him borrow. Steve didn't brought him to say a word. He just stared at the screen, humbled. Then he smiled faintly and whispered, oh, nah, I was just trying to help someone laugh. But this moment proved it. Sometimes laughter plants seeds of survival. And just when Steve thought the messages were done, a producer rushed in. Oh, Steve, Clinty, TM's on the phone. He wants to talk to you, now. Steve held the phone to his ear, but for the first time in a long time, he had no words. On the other end, Clint Eastwood Tim's voice was calm, steady, and unmistakably real. Oh, wow, Steve, my name. Played a lot of strong men on screen. But strength is not a man, just in silence or toughness. Sometimes it tadamaz in telling. The truth, you did that, and you, TM, have done it more times than you know. Steve finally exhaled. Harrisamder Eastwood, I don't more TM or even know what to say. But Clint cut in, I wouldn't more TM to say anything. Just know this. I will TM, I have lived long enough to see the world change. But when I see someone like you out there, speaking from the hearty, I still believe it can change for the better. Then came the pause. The kind only Clint Eastwood knows how to deliver. Hi, I meant what I wrote. You saved my boy, and that means more to me than any film ever could. Steve, TM's eyes welled up again, not from sadness, but from something deeper, OAR, the weight of impact, of legacy, of unknowingly becoming someone, TM's lifeline. But just before the call ended, Clint dropped one final line that would stay with Steve forever. When I go, I don't might want statues or speeches. I just want to know I left behind men like you. And with that, the call ended. Days. Later, Steve Harvey opened his show with something rare. Silence. No punchlines, no band, no dancing. Just him, standing center stage, holding Clint out TM's letter. He looked straight into the camera and said, "This changed my life. Not because it came from a legend, but because it reminded me why I started doing this in the first place." The audience watched, quiet, leaning in. You never know who TM's listening," he continued. You never know when your voice becomes someone else. TM is anchor. Then, in a move that stunned everyone, Steve announced he was launching a new foundation, one dedicated to helping young men find purpose during their darkest moments. And he named it after the most unexpected inspiration of his life, the Eastwood Initiative. The crowd erupted. But what really hit home was what Steve said next. Kindness echoes louder than applause. And real strength? It does na brow, Tim, tiu. Yellows it writes letters when nobody, TM's watching. Somewhere in California, Clint Eastwood watched that moment quietly, with a rare smile on his face. No spotlight, no credit. Just a nod to a man who turned a talk show into a turning point. Do you believe one conversation can shift a life Tim's direction? Or does it take someone willing to listen?